Good evening and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode, a new season of the Night Career Mode on Golden Lab. We are starting a new season off today, guys. New thumbnail as well. Hope you like it. And we're going to be, first things first, we've got to do the preseason. We've got to do the preseason, and that means deciding upon our drivers. And I've actually gone and I've read all of the comments, and I want to thank every single person who left a comment. There was a lot. There was actually a lot of comments on that video. I think that might be the video that has the most comments on the channel, which is a great sign. You know, it's like a bit of like, I asked you guys if you wanted to contribute, and quite a few of you said, "Yep, I want to put my opinion forward. I want to contribute. I want to make a team decision," and that's what we're going to be doing today. So you can see I've loaded up into the preseason where we left off last time out, with Ed Solini having picked James Fletcher and Anders Nilsson on their team, their driver lineup. However, that took me 2 attempts, because the first time I went back in, they picked Anders Nilsson and Edward King. So I had to reload it again to get back to what the information we had. Basically, at the end of last season, they chose James Fletcher and Anders Nilsson. That was the information we had in the votes. People voted for Edward King. If I then loaded it up and Edward King was gone, that would change all of the votes. It would change everyone's opinion. You would pick different drivers because of what's available. So I reloaded it, made sure that we were on the same kind of level ground as where we were last time, and now we can get into the votes. Okay, so here we are, guys, into the points tally, the drivers' vote. Now, I decided to actually kind of change a little bit of what I was going to do. I was going to average out the picks in the comments, but the problem with that is that every driver who wasn't picked, you would have to give a certain score as well. Let's say 10. So if you put a driver a 1 and they got 1 point and you averaged it out, but then they weren't picked, you'd have to give them, let's say, 10 points, and that would really kind of weight the averages in a kind of a bad way. So what I decided to do instead was implement these rules, which are quite simple. I was going to average out the picks, but that proved difficult because not every driver was voted for in every comment. So instead, each time a driver was voted for, they receive a certain number of points for wherever their kind of priority was on that particular list. For example, if you put Henri Lefebvre as your number 1 pick, he would get 8 points, and then you said, okay, I want Chandler DuPont next, he would get 6 points, and over time, every time there was a vote, I will add the points in, and we will find out who is going to be our number 1 and number 2 driver. Now, at this very moment, I don't actually know who is going to be number 1 and number 2. I suspect Henny Holgersson, because he won a lot of fans, he won a lot of supporters at the back end of last season, where he won 4 races on the spin. Very, very good driving at the end of the season, and you never know, if we had had a little bit better luck, a few better results through the season, maybe Henny Holgersson would have stolen the championship from Anders Nilsson. You don't know, you know. But it's difficult to say. The point is, he won a lot of supporters, and I suspect he's done enough to earn himself another year in the night racing driver's seat. Other drivers that we could grab, well, we could keep Henri Lefebvre. We've got Edward King, Chandler DuPont, Jorge Bregman, Felix Garuba, Carlos Mendez, Fernando Pereira, Paul Woods, George Thompson, and of course, there is always the idea of just send the driver, send the manager in the car, get Josh in the car, but I suspect no one voted for that one. So, yeah, like I say, right now, I don't actually know who the points are going to be given out to. I'm going to go through the comments. I won't go through all of the comments on camera because that will make the video incredibly long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like maybe 5 comments, and we'll see what the tally looks like, and then we'll do another 5 comments, and then we'll just kind of build it up like that. So I'll be right back with the first 5 comments tallied up. Okay, so this is how the table looks after the first batch of comments have come through, and I'm just going to quickly thank everybody who did make a comment. So I mean, Punk and Opa, you made lovely comments. Didn't say your driver picks, but that's okay as well. You don't have to. Lonwa, I believe, I apologize if I'm not saying the names correctly. Lonwa voted Holgersson, Edward King, Chandler DuPont, Bregman, Gruber, David Carroll said go with a rookie, but didn't actually give a specific rookie, so I didn't know who to give the points to there. Adam made a vote and then changed his mind, which is okay as well. Victor then went with Holgerson, King, Mendes, Bregman, Pereira, which was cool. Chesshead then went, let's go double Brazilian, Mendes and Pereira. So what I did there, because there was no specific on who to pick there, I just said, okay, I'll split the points and they'll get 7 each, because that seems fairer. Then went with Bregman, and then King and Holgerson at the end is the coward's path. But you still voted them. You still gave them points. You gave them a point each. And then Amos said, I'd go with Holgerson for another year, and then Pereira. So that was just a simple one, 8-6. That was points added to the list. And then Laughing Dead went for Holgerson, King, Mendes, Woods, Bregman, which was actually the first time Paul Woods got any points. So that is the first batch of comments done. There's more to go, and we're going to see how things line up. So after the first batch of comments, Henny Holgerson kind of running away with it, 33 points. Edward King on 19. But then Mendes and Pereira kind of surprising me. They are close to Edward King. I don't know if they will keep going at the rate they're going, but there is a chance. Then Bregman gets some points as well. DuPont a few. Paul Woods 2. Felix Gruber just the 1. And still no one voted for me getting in the car myself. I can't say I blame you. But yeah, what I think I'll do now is I'll get the rest of the comments, because that was the first batch of comments. I think there's not that many more. Like I got a good amount of comments on the video, which I'm very, very thankful for. And the tally is working out well. So let's do the rest of the comments. And then, of course, I've got to do my votes as well. And there we go, guys. That is the final standing. So take a good look. I still can't believe no one voted for the night manager to get in the car himself. But look, that's just the way it goes sometimes. So Henny Holgerson actually ended at number 1 with 125 points. But Edward King and Carlos Mendes were a lot closer than I thought they would be. But ultimately, those are the votes. Now, I'm going to go through the comments and just talk about everyone's individual votes. So Giorgio went with, and thank everyone. Thank you, guys. Giorgio went with Holgerson, King, Woods, DuPont, Bregman, which was a pretty standard choice. Woods getting a few points in there. Wasn't I don't know, wasn't unexpected. He's clearly a faster driver, but he's just a little bit unreliable. So him getting into 6th position, yeah, that's okay. You know, that's about expected. Not too shabby. Then Cody said, Henny Holgerson number 1, Edward King, Carlos Mendes, Bregman, and then Thompson as number 5. And that was actually, unfortunately, that was the only point George Thompson got. But he's on the board. He's on the board, so fair enough. Thank you, Cody. Next up was Michael, who said Holgerson and Mendes. Just straight 1 and 2. There we go. Those are my picks. Fair enough. And then Adam, this was Adam changing his mind and saying Holgerson and King is actually overkill, so new rankings, and put Mendes in at number 2, which did change the scores a bit. And I did think Mendes maybe was going to grab that second seat, but it wasn't to be. Then Aaron Conway also voted and said Holgerson, then Edward King, Mendes, Pereira, Lefebvre, which was nice to see Omri Lefebvre get some points as well, which was really, really good. Cobra came in with Holgerson, King, Mendes, Woods, Fletcher. Unfortunately, Fletcher was already gone, so I didn't know who to give the point to. So Fletcher was a null and void at that point. Then Fraser said, if you want to have a better time winning, go with King and Holgerson. If you want a more challenging, go with Mendes, Lefebvre, Pereira, or Bregman. As a last option, if you want to kind of mix the two, you can go with Holgerson and then add in Mendes or something like that. And these were definitely ideas to kind of go with Bregman or Lefebvre as a second driver. I didn't actually know fully how to score these points. So what I did was I kind of averaged things out a little bit. And I went with Fraser's picks. I went Holgerson, King, and Mendes as 6 points each. Lefebvre, Pereira, Bregman as 4 points each. And then there was a little PS at the bottom, or like in brackets saying Woods and DuPont would also work, but they're a little bit crash prone. So I go with Woods and DuPont 2 points each as well. Just to, try and take into account all of the opinions, all the possible choices. And then Hayden said, Holgerson showed what he had, showed he had it, to kind of showed he has what it takes and should be rewarded. Then King, Woods, Mendes and Pereira, which was a good pick. Thank you, Hayden. Then Danny said King, Holgersen, Bregman, Pereira, Gruber, which was interesting because Gruber didn't get many points either. Only got 2 points total, but was on the board there. Then Beggar said, oh yeah, this was a difficult one because this was kind of talking about the different team driver lineups we could have gone for. Beggar said, if you want, the best possible team is King and Holgersen, but that will bring back the phantom of team orders and constantly second guessing who gets the better parts. That is true. If you want a clear first driver, Holgersen and one of the Brazilian drivers, which means that they got points on this one as well. King Holgersen does mean that they might take points from each other. Yep, that's true. Holgersen Mendes makes easy decisions, but if Holgersen then does DNF or miss a race, the championship is on the line. So I kind of went with King and Holgersen taking 8 points there, or maybe I split it and gave them 7, and then Mendes and Pereira going in the second place positions, just because they were getting points, but you know, no one can really put Holgersen off the top spot. You know, he's got a lot of points, which is not a surprise. Francis Cipriano said Holgersen Mendes. Again, pretty solid to just put your vote in like that. Just say these are my decisions, and I don't mind that either. And that was actually the last one. And then my own vote was to go with Holgersen Lefevre as my team, which did give Lefevre a few points, but not really that many. Bregman third, Mendes, and then King. And ultimately, it didn't really matter. It didn't really matter. I'm going to put my notes away now. It didn't really matter because Holgersen and King were already too far ahead for me to change anything on the votes there. So, thank you guys. Thank you every person who put in a comment saying who they wanted us to drive with this season. We will probably do the same thing next season going into what is the final season of this night racing save. And yeah, so that's all I want to say. Thank you so much. Now, press conference. Press conference. We need to do the press conference. Okay, we'll get into the game to do the press conference. Well, before I can do the press conference, I've actually got to confirm those picks. So it will be Edward King and Henny Holgersen as our drivers, who are going to be, well, hopefully taking us to another championship this season. We're only going to go with a balanced car just because I don't feel like the risk reward is kind of worth it with the experimental car. And we'll also just have a look at the other teams and who they picked as well. So Wayland went with Paul Woods and Carlos Mendes. That could be a fast pairing. That could be a good team. Yes, it could. Obviously, we've taken Edward King from Wayland. They've taken Paul Woods, who was a free agent, and Carlos Mendes, who was at Vernier. Fletcher obviously was an Ezzolini driver already. Bregman was with us and he's gone to Vernier. Luana Lovera was with us as well for, was it 1 race or 2 races? Which is, I guess, fair enough for Vernier. They've grabbed a couple of good drivers there. Thompson's gone to Lebrun. Jan Schaub has gone from Wayland to Lebrun as well. Henri Lefebvre has got himself a drive with Chapman alongside Dan Jansen, who's gone from Pope. Karina Hoster, who was a Chapman driver, has gone to Bancroft. Eric Lindberg, who was a free agent, has gone to Bancroft. Rinaldi from Hemlock to Pope. Christoph Fischer from April to Pope. Carl Hoffman from Pope to Hemlock. Ambrosio from Chapman to Hemlock. Eric Palmer from Hemlock to April. Bruno Ribeiro, who was a free agent, has gone to April as well. So there is a lot of driver changes. In fact, every team except for us and Ezzolini have gone with a double driver change, and even then we've only swapped 1. So that is a little bit crazy. Wowza, we're going to go for the big numbers, of course we are. Wowza, that's a lot of driver changes. I don't think we've seen that many driver changes in any of the seasons so far. That's kind of crazy. Okay, it is now press conference time. So let's go through the comments, and if there were any questions, let's answer them real quick. There definitely were some questions. Here we go. Adam says, end of season retrospective, could/did Nelson place a hex on Bregman's car, causing the DNFs. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, Bregman's car, the second car, wasn't really... Well, Bregman's car was the first car, and then it became the second car. It wasn't really challenging for the title, so I'm not sure why Nilsson would need to worry about that, to be honest. Yeah, I hope not, but maybe. I don't know. Cody says, in case it wasn't obvious, I'm American, so I've been leaning into the whole American club aspect. Popular American racing enthusiasts have begun to comment on the night racing driver situation. They've picked their drivers: Henny Hogson, King, Mendes, Bregman, George Thompson. Focusing on George Thompson, the NASCAR star has yet to enter the league, and many stateside are calling for his arrival on the team night racing team. There is still a question he has what it takes on the international stage. Well, unfortunately, Thompson did not get picked up by us, but he did get himself a drive, didn't he? I'm fairly certain he did. Where is he? He's in LeBron, so LeBron have picked up, and Eric Palm was also in there. So there's 2 Americans in this season, which is cool. You know, that's a-okay. There was a suggestion from Aaron Conway to add more chapters into the videos, so I'm going to take that suggestion. Thank you, Aaron, for that. What I've actually got right here is a list of the chapters that I'm going to try and include. So I'm going to have an intro. In this particular race, there'll be the voting, then the driver changes, then the press conference, and then as we go through the video, there will be more chapters at the bottom of the screen. So if you're thinking, Josh, you're yapping too much, you're chatting too much rubbish, and you want to skip ahead to the race or the qualifying or whatever, you can do that just down in the comments, not in the comments, on the timeline or in the description. There's also kind of timestamps in there because you put the timestamps in the description and then they appear on the timeline. So thank you for that, Aaron. I will take that on board. And if you've got any more suggestions, like anyone, leave them in the comments. Honestly, like, I'm not so stubborn that I won't take on suggestions and kind of implement them if I think they're a good idea. So yeah. Hayden says, losing the constructors by around 40 points with 5 DNFs feels like a season of missed opportunities. And it feels like the crashes happened when you weren't even pushing. Yeah, look, I'll be honest. That is true. That last one with Henri Lefebvre was like, I wasn't pushing. I wasn't even like thinking of pushing. And he crashed out. And sometimes that just happens. You know, that's fair enough. Look, sometimes that's going to happen. Last question. Here we go. Last question from Cobra. Pen letters, Ridgemont fast times. Nilsson may have won the World Championship, but it appears that Holgersson has won the hearts of the world. Definitely. Yeah, I would say that's true. If Holgersson is brought back by the Night Racing Board of Directors, that's you guys. And will he be offered the #1 seat as Bregman was? Is King lobbying Knight to join the team as sources indicate he is? And if so, how effective of a fit would he be in the black cars of the Night Racing team? Would he be willing to wait his turn in a second spot and wait for Holgersson? Yeah, you know what? That's actually something I need to think about. What I think is, with 2 drivers that are pretty evenly matched, Edward King actually has 1 extra focus, but he is the newcomer to the team. What I think I'm going to do is, for race #1, I'm going to give Holgersson the build, the better car part. Just because he won so many races at the end of last season, I want to reward that. But what we're going to do is we're going to kind of judge it race by race and kind of see what is what. Because if Holgersson wins that first race, which we don't know, he might do, he might not, then I'll back him for the next race. But if Edward King comes out of nowhere and he gets the win, then I feel like I'll have to back him as well. You know, I want to win both championships this year. And the best way to do that, ultimately, unless you're absolutely dominant, the best way to do that is, after a certain number of races, is to pick 1 driver and really back that driver. For example, the McLarens in F1 right now, they are currently competing with each other. But let's say one of them falls away and then the constructors becomes a question mark, let's say. Like, I don't really think it would happen. Whoever is the #1 driver is going to have to be like, I'm the #1 here. I'm the one who's at the top of the championship. If we want to win the team thing, he's got to back me up. So that's probably the situation I'm kind of looking for. At the start of the season, probably no real preference. I'll just race. But then if it becomes apparent that one of the drivers is competing, let's say, better than the other, then we'll make that decision then. So, thank you for all the comments in the press conference, guys. I do apologize. This video is probably going to be super, super long. But that's okay. It's the first one of the season. There's a lot of chatting, a lot of comments. There was a lot of comments on the season finale of last season. So, I just want to thank you guys, honestly. Like, it's crazy. I started this channel just playing, like, Total War and a bit of FIFA and stuff like that. Didn't really know that I was gonna go into like racing games and stuff like that, and it's really worked well for the channel, and it's getting a good amount of engagement. So thanks for that, guys. Okay, press conference done. Next up, we're going to have a look at the calendar. What have we got? What have we got? So don't forget, we've got Edward King, who is a Brit and patriotic. So Francis Hollow is good for him. We start at Potenza, a power track in Italy. We move to Francis Hollow in Britain. It's a narrow track, difficult overtaking. Then we go down to Argentina, where we know Jorge Bregman would have a good time racing. Then it's Monaco, and then it's off to Belgium in the wet. And then another race in the wet when we go to Japan, which is the dangerous track, wowza. And then another, oh my word, 3 dangerous tracks in a row as we go from Japan to Canada to Espanini in South Africa. Then another rainy track in Nordse, and then another British track, which could be very helpful. Could be very, very helpful for Edward King come the end of the season. But again, it's in the wet, so we know Anders Nilsson will have a good race there, most likely. But that's an interesting calendar. 2 British GPs. We've got 1 in South America. We've got a lot of European races. We've got a North America, Africa, and Asia race as well. So I think we're actually going across the continents. We don't have a race in Australia. I don't actually know if there is one in this game in Australia, to be honest. But we've got a South America, Africa, Asia, North America, and then 5 European races. Which, I mean, that's quite cool. That's quite cool that we're going across 5 continents, I think. Is it 5? North, South, Asia, Africa, yeah, it's 5. That's really cool. Really cool indeed. Okay, that was the calendar. Let's do the pre-race garage look. So, what does the car look like? The steering is the weakest part, unfortunately. But we are at a power track where speed and acceleration are more important. So, I think we're going to have to build a chassis first. No, not a chassis. An engine first. No, I don't know. A chassis is overall speed, total speed. Engine is acceleration. I think I'm going to go with a chassis. We're going to build it. And it's going to come out as a 3246. That's pretty good. It's going to go onto Holgersson's car. It's going to need a bit of an upgrade at 60%. So there we go. Back up to 70. 3255. We've got a decent amount of money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck an upgrade on the steering. And again, just to try and boost the steering while we're not focused on it. So we've got 2 cars here about 60 or 50 or 60 points apart. Holgersson with the best car. Edward King with the second best car. But not by much, if we're being honest. Not by much at all. And it is time to get into the race. Well, and by race, I mean qualifying. So, let's go into quali. Erin Lloyd of Team Wayland is invigorated. Fair enough, that's good. We're going to start with soft tyres. It's a power track. We're going to try and put the power down. Holgersson, come on, buddy. That's not okay. Come on, buddy. Out they go. I'm a little bit unimpressed. It's the first race of the season. That's not what we're looking for. Edward King's going purple right now. Does go purple. Goes 1.2 faster than Holgersson. Yeah, well, that's what happens. But then, oh my lord, look at this. Henri Lefebvre on purple lap times goes number 1. Where has that come from? Oh, and then he's beaten by Nielsen. Wowza, okay. Henri Lefebvre putting a marker down in the Chapman car. Fair enough. Okay, what are we going to do today? I think... Oh, what do we do? This is Edward King we're working with here. Let's focus on the chassis. $26 isn't bad, but it's not great. With Holgersen, we're going to focus on the engine. That's even worse. 23. That was not great either. Okay. So we're focusing on the chassis with Edward King, but obviously Holgersen has the better chassis. So we're going to focus on the engine with Holgersen. Once we get a golden tune on those parts, we will then focus on other parts and we'll make a decision when it's the right time. Edward King starts with 2 purple sectors. And indeed goes fastest, but only just because the 3rd sector was clearly not as good. And then, oh my word, Anders Nielsen is going quick anyway. Henri Lefebvre, unfortunately, has dropped down to 5th. Okay, back to the chassis. We're looking to try and get it up to about 55, I would say. And we're not going to be able to. Wow, 48. Okay, we're having a bit of trouble on the old tuning front right now. Let's see if that can be fixed here. There we go. That's so much better. 54, 55. So exactly what I was talking about. The number I was going for last time. Okay. Can we see the whole track? Yes, we can. Okay, that's all good. That's all good. Out they go. ×2 speed. Let's see. Let's see what happens. So Mendes and Thompson have gone above Edward King as things stand. But Edward King is going to start his lap. Off he goes. Green sector 1, great. Holgersen does the same. Green sector 2, great. Holgersen does the same again. And Edward King goes past the line 1.3 slower than Nielsen. How is Holgersen? It's because he partied. I've given him the better car. I've given him the chassis part. And he parties and then can only manage 9th at the minute. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I'm not happy. Okay, that's much better for Edward King. That is almost the golden tune done on the chassis. Let's see what we can do here with Holgersen's car. It's done. Brilliant. Okay. And now we will... Yeah, look, I'm probably still going to focus on the chassis just because we're at the... I don't know. No, okay. With Holgersen, we are now going to focus on the steering. With Edward King, we're going to focus on the chassis once we have completely golden tuned up the engine. Okay, we're on the outlap as things stand. Edward King over the line and away he goes. First sector, green, brilliant. Holgersen does the same again. Second sector, green, and Holgersen follows suit. And will he go? No, he will not. So, Holgersen has jumped all the way up to 4th, which is very, very good. But Edward King is unable to catch up to Mendes. And at the moment, Anders Nielsen is the quali master. That's good. That's brilliant stuff. Okay, now we are going to go full... Yeah, we're going to go full engine here. I was on the chassis. I don't know if I've said things the wrong way around. It's okay. A bit of a risk. Better. 30 out of... Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's good work. Steering for Holgersen. Let's try and get it done as fast as possible. 33 out of 85. That's not bad. The thing about this track is that you should be able to golden tune across the board unless you get some really bad luck. Just because the lap time's so short. You know, on the tracks that have the longer lap time, you get less of an opportunity to tune it up properly. Nielsen's going purple as things stand. Edward King is going to have to try and stick with him. Holgersen only able to put in white sectors at the moment. But even then, Nilsson does go faster, but not by a lot. A second and a half on top of Edward King. Holgersen is a little bit slower, so I am going to need Holgersen to step up on the last couple of laps here, which may be difficult if he's a little bit wobbly. If he was on the drink. Wow, lots of zeros. Partying too hard. I can't accept that. It's really not good from Henny. And he really better put some performance in on the race if he wants to not get kind of demoted or kind of some form of penalty for going out the night before the first race of the season. I'm not impressed. King's crashed it. King's sent it. No. Right, so we're gonna Holgersen, go. Still put your lap in. Woods was going purple on that. Wow, what on earth? Woods was going purple. That's a surprise. Okay, let's make sure we still get the tuning done here. Lucky. That was lucky. Okay, now onto the chassis with Henny Holgersen. Unfortunately, that is a little bit of a funny one. Because Edward King's tuning is now going to take a dip, and he might lose positions, which would not be ideal. Okay, so Paul Woods just put in 2 purple sectors, but couldn't get it on the 3rd sector, so goes into 2nd. Holgersen is 4th. King is already down to 6th. So this has not been the best quali session for the old Team Knight. I do hope Edward King is okay, though. I do hope he is. I don't want to get a message saying Edward King's in the hospital or something like that. King's down into 10th now. Make that 11th. Oh, it's tough. Okay, Henny Holgersen does get the golden tune, which is good. It would be expected. We're going to just kind of pump our lap times now and try and compete. So he's up in 6th. Edward King is now out of the top 10. He's out of the points. He is going to start outside the points, which is a little bit crazy. Henny Holgersen does not improve again. Off he goes. Will he get 2 laps in? I don't fully know. Holgersen is now in 10th. Edward King down in 16th. Holgersen is in 10th, but he's in the zone. I want a really good lap here. Come on, Henny. I'm looking top 5 minimum. 3rd, that's how you do it. That is how you do it. He's turned it on the very last second, the very last part of the lap, because we won't get another lap in here. That is qualifying complete. And Paul Woods has beaten Anders Nilsson in the Wayland. We have got 5 different teams in the top 5. We've got a Wayland, an Ed Solini, a Knight, a Chapman, and then both Verniers. And then both LeBrons are in there as well in the top 10. So this is one heck of a competitive start to this season. Edward King, unfortunately, with that crash, he is down in 16th. He's going to have to do a big recovery drive. Henny Holgersen, however, he is here to compete. It's race time. Here we go. Henny starts on the mediums. King starts on the hards. Luis Delgado of LeBron is invigorated. We're going to start by watching Edward King at the back of the grid. How is he going to fare on the start? He's already up to 9th. Make that 7th. What? He's up to 6th. What is going on? He's up to 4th. This is a bonkers start for Edward King. My word, He is on the podium. He has gone from, where was he, 16th? I think he was 16th. And he is already challenging Anders Nilsson. He's got second. What kind of start is this? I don't think we have ever had a start this freaking good. King is in the zone. King's in the zone, but he's only in second at the moment. He is fast, however. He can push on these hard tyres. He can make them, like, he can extend the hard tyres, or he can push on the hard tyres. It doesn't bother me either way. Henny Holgersson down in 9th has got a lot of work to do. It is absolutely bonkers that they have more or less swapped the races. I said Edward King needs to be on a recovery drive. He's done it in 2 laps. Henny Holgersson, who was starting on a podium position, is currently down in 9th. Now he's got to do a recovery drive. So I do not understand how this has happened. But hey, it's drama, isn't it? It's drama indeed. Henny Holgersson has managed to get himself into 8th. But Edward King, unfortunately, is down into 3rd. Holgersson made a couple of overtakes there and is now in 5th. Overtaking Lovera and Schaub together. And I mean, that's outrageous. That's good driving. That's good recovery driving. Okay, we're going to hit ×2 speed because we are now at the point where we're going to save fuel. We're going to try and extend the tyres. And we're going to just about see when the pit stops are going. And King's in the zone, so that's going to be a push, but not a burn. Because like I say, we are going to save fuel. We've got our strategy down, more or less. Save fuel, 1 car on the mediums, 1 car on the hards, and then react to whatever we can react to and try and do our best to... Oh, King's in the zone again, but he's pushing too hard, so I'm going to calm him down. He is going to try and challenge Nilsson for the lead. He's not going to get it just yet. Okay, so I'm thinking King doesn't have to pit until lap 20, whereas Holgersson is looking at lap 14, perhaps, for the medium tyre pit stop. King's in the zone again. He's in the zone a lot. Challenging Anders Nilsson. Will he get the job done? He did, and then he didn't, and then he did again. That is some good frickin' driving from Edward King. He has got the lead outright. We're going to pit Henny Holgersson now, because he's just gone past the pit entry. And you know what? The hard tyre seems to be doing an absolute job. So we're going to put Henny on the hard tyre. If there is any form of yellow flag, then Henny will be able to extend that hard tyre all the way through to the end of the race. Edward King is able to push again. Henny is going to come out in 7th. That is correct. King is in 1st, and he is going to pit in maybe a lap or 2. Stop pushing. Yep, that's fine. Nilsson will pit in a second as well. Edward King has put in one of the best... There we go, yellow flags. So, King will pit, and he'll go onto the hard tyre again. Holgersson's... This period, under the yellow flag, is just extending Holgersson's tyre. I think the one stop might be on. Anders Nilsson with a slow pit stop. Look at that, guys. Look at that. That means we have taken 1st place in the pits under the yellow flag conditions. Everyone, look at that. Everyone is saying hard tyre is the way to go, except a couple of drivers. This has been a weird start to the season. I'm not going to lie, but it's very, very entertaining. I'm having a good time seeing what happens with the end of this race. I've got no idea, but we are challenging Edward King somehow. I don't know. I don't understand how he had a start that good. It was bonkers. It was outrageously fast, but it worked. Okay, I'm going to go ×1 speed just for a second because I want to check if we can push. Not yet. Not just yet. Okay. Not long, however. I don't think I want to push King's tyres because that would actually potentially risk his tyres at the end of the race, and I don't want to do that. Okay. Can we push the cars now? Can we burn yet? Not yet. Not yet. So I'm going to go to lap 27, and then I think we will be able to burn. King has still got Anders Nilsson right on his gearbox, but he's doing a good job defending at the moment until I said it. But King is in the zone and might just get that position back. Definitely looking for it. Mendes is the fastest lap at the moment. Paul Woods had it a second ago. Everyone, oh my word, the hard tyres are clearly the tyres for this race. Kind of crazy. King is in the zone again. He is really challenging Anders Nilsson here. This is one heck of a start to the season between these two. Okay, I think we can now burn. Yes, we can. Nope, don't pit. Yes, we can. Okay, from now to the end, we can burn the engines. We can push the engines as hard as they can go. And Henny Holgersson has... Oh no, it's overtaken... Henny Holgersson got the position on Lefebvre because Lefebvre has gone into the pits. However, Edward King got the position on Nilsson out on the track, which is great respect. So, we are running 1 and 4. Paul Woods is going to have to pit again from third, and he has just done that. King is in the zone again. Henny Holgersson is going to take third from Paul Woods, who is now in fourth, make that fifth. But you can see Henny Holgersson's tyres they're going to struggle to make it to the end. Just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is when he says he's having a bad lap, I'm going to save the tyres. When he doesn't say anything, I'm going to keep the tyres on regular. And when he wants to push, I'm going to keep the tyres on regular as well. So, they can now go back to regular. They're going to be incredibly risky at the end here. All we need is a yellow flag. If there's a yellow flag from anywhere, then these tyres will make it to the end. Holgersson can't focus. That means we kind of ease off those tyres a little bit. He's got a bit of a gap as well. I can't really ease off with Anders Nilsson chasing Edward King like that. Henny's in the zone. You know what? When he's in the zone, I may as well leave the tyres off again because he's got such a big gap at the moment of 14 seconds. And the tyres do need a bit of help to get to the end of this race. It's slightly risky. That's a puncture for George Bregman. That's what I mean. You do not want to leave your tyres too long. It's risky. We're playing it a little bit risky as we try and get Henny Holgersson a podium. He's still got a good gap at the moment. It's actually working a little bit because we're burning at the same time. It's actually working. Edward King has lost out to Anders Nilsson at the front of the race, but he might get it. Oh, he's already got it back. There we go. He's got it back already because we're able to burn as we are. The gap is now 9 seconds to Paul Woods. Did they make it to the end just yet? They've got 1.6 left on it. Henny Holgersson in the zone. Okay, I'm going to tell him to save those tyres. We've got 5 laps, 7 seconds on the gap. Oh, it's going to be close. I don't know. I don't know if Holgersson will be able to keep Paul Woods at bay. But we can't pit stop him now. Other tyres. What? That's a puncture at that? How is her? Oh, that's not good. Karina Hostler getting a puncture with the tyres still at that much is kind of scary. 3 laps to go. The gap is 5 seconds. Holgersson's in the zone. Keep saving those tyres. 4.8 seconds. 4.5. Holgersson, can he hold on for the podium? Can Edward King hold on for the win? I've got to let the tyres go now. Let's go. Paul Woods is very, very close. 2 laps behind. 2 laps to go, sorry. 2 seconds behind. He is catching up. He is catching up. He is 2 seconds behind Henny Holgersson as things stand. Edward King is running really well at the front, but we're risking punctures here. We are risking punctures for points. Punctures for points. Maybe that's... King's in the zone on the last lap. He's going to hold him off. Go on. Hold him off. Get the win. Edward King. Last lap for Henny Holgersson. 1 corner to go for Edward King. Will he hold him off? Yes, he will! Now let's watch Holgersen as he comes down this big curve. Paul Woods is trying to get him. Paul Woods is right on his tail. Paul Woods has got him on the last corner. No! That was so close. Oh, that was so close. Paul Woods putting in a fastest lap. Oh my word. Now, I don't actually know if Paul Woods put in the fastest lap on that last lap, but if he did, then that is some clutch driving from Paul Woods. Henny Holgersen misses out on the podium by nothing. Look at that, 19 hundredths of a second. Woo, that is crazy. And oh my word, 44 hundredths of a second. Whew. Somehow keeps Edward King in front of Anders Nilsson. That was a race to start the season. What a race. Punctures for points. Maybe that'll have to be the title. A fastest lap from Paul Woods. Oh, I don't really know. That was crazy. But we take the win. We take the win. First race of the season. Edward King gets the race win. 2 Brits on the podium. We are 37 points. Wayland get 24 for a really good team race for them. Ezzolini, unfortunately, only grabbing 6 with their second driver means that Ezzolini might struggle in the team standings because James Fletcher, I don't know if he's going to be able to compete with the heavyweights of Holgersen, Woods, Nilsson, King, the Swedes and the Brits at the top of the race standings as things stand. Oh, there's another Swede. Eric Lindberg is in there as well. There's 3 Swedes in the race. And okay, there we go. So as things stand, we take 37 points from that first race. It was drama. It was absolute drama. We've got some sponsors. Golden Tune the steering. Yeah, we'll definitely be able to do that from Nim Cardell. Oh my word. I've got to get a drink and have a nap. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you so much, everybody who left a comment in the last video. I really appreciate it. We've started the season off pretty well, and ironically, we go 1-4 again, which we managed to do a lot last season. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. I really do, and we're gonna have hopefully a really good season. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Until next time.